Chama. Oh yeah, hey Chama.
Good evening, football fans. My name is Patrick Seals, and welcome to week 1 of the SEC Runback, baby. That's right. It is opening weekend. It is officially over for the SEC teams and the NCAA football conference. I'm just happy to be here live to be able to see these SEC teams, especially the G-Men, the Georgia Bulldogs. It's been a long offseason, man, a lot of ups and downs, but we finally here to talk about some SEC football. How did your team do this week? Was it a long road back? Did your team struggle? Did your team lose? Well, luckily, Patrick Seals is here for you. There will be timestamps below where you can click on your team and just see what I have to say about your team. But beware, there are a couple of videos on here, a couple teams that won't have highlight videos and whatnot because I didn't feel like doing it. I'm only one man doing what I can to make this world a SEC place. You dig what I'm saying? So follow along with me. So to kick this thing off, we had Florida versus Utah. Florida, unranked. Utah, 14th ranked. And guess what? Utah won. I've already talked about this video with Kinfolk. Go ahead and check this video out below. And let's get into it. So Utah sacked Florida 5 times. He threw an interception. And, they had 2 QBs on their team that ran for a touchdown, man. And they had over 100 team rushing yards. Utah looking like the team to beat coming out of the Pac-12, man. And I'm going to be honest, I wasn't expecting Utah to beat Florida. But once Florida started getting beat down by Utah, and I'm gonna be honest, man, there's a lot of people out there with Florida Gators who feel like the roof has fell in, the sky is over with, you know what I mean? And they should be absolutely correct because it is over with for y'all. Y'all lost to Utah. They're not even the top-ranked team in the Pac-12. I'm sorry, I just said they are the top-ranked team, but I don't know, because Florida, you have no business losing to Utah. You don't. I'm sorry. Florida might not be the best team in the SEC or the SEC East or in college football, but they have no business losing to a Utah. And Florida Gators fans, I hope you're feeling this burn coming from the Utah Utes. That's right, because the Utah Utes are moving forward and going to add you to their college football playoff resume. And here you are looking to get smacked around by just about everybody in the SEC East. You're going to lose to Kentucky. You might lose to Tennessee. You're going to lose to Georgia. Yeah, it's going to be a bad season for the Florida Gators. So moving on. South Dakota took on Missouri, where Missouri won 35-10. That's right, Missouri beat the dog snot out of South Dakota. Cody Schrader had 18 carries for 138 yards. He was averaging 7.7 yards a carry, man, and a touchdown. He was out there balling. And then we have Luther Burden III. He had 7 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown, man. Missouri out there doing what they do. They didn't beat the dog snot out of this South Dakota team like I'm pretty sure a lot of Missouri fans would want them to do, but they still took away that victory. Before we even move on to the most important team on this list right here, I just have to say that what I saw yesterday in college football was a lot of these elite programs out there. They had their preseason game, so to speak, because they don't have a sanctioned preseason game. They have games where they play against each other in scrimmage and spring games, red, black, white, and black, whatever. That's not the same as actually playing against somebody else in live rounds. So a lot of teams, they struggled in the first half and they picked it up in the second half. They had untimely mistakes, penalty calls, whatever the case may be, just things that they want to get cleaned up before they start hitting those very important parts of the season. That being said, I'm going to move on to the #1 ranked team in the world. The Georgia Bulldogs took on UT Martin in Sanford Stadium after coming off back-to-back natty championships where they won 48-7. Carson Beck had 21 completions for 31 attempts. He had 294 yards passing and a touchdown. Our defense only allowed 262 yards and only gave up 7 points. Now, of course, they gave up those 7 points in the fourth quarter and garbage time points, but still, this is the legendary Georgia defense that we are trying to build here, and so everybody wants to put up those big fat goose eggs on the scoreboard. And for the most part, the Georgia defense was able to do that for UT Martin until the fourth quarter where they gave up a lonely touchdown. And here we are. Now, of course, this wasn't the most perfect game for the Georgia Bulldogs. Carson Beck, he came out there a little bit nervous his first start against, in Georgia, in Sanford Stadium. Don't want to make any mistakes and want to play a good game. And he did for the most part. He just had a little wibbly wobblies. We went through and out a couple times in the first quarter, but they was able to pick it up. He ran for a touchdown. He threw for a couple touchdowns. He did exactly what we wanted him to do. Now, of course, we don't want him to come out here and just try and take over the games. Just do your part, win us the game, and move out of the way, Carson Beck. You're doing everything you can right now, so let's just ease into these next games against Ball State and South Carolina. I'm going to roll from there. Other than that, Carson Beck, you did adequately. It's a lot of people out there who saying they don't want you to play right now, and I'm not one of those people. You did fine. Let's move on. We also have Virginia taking on the 12th ranked Tennessee, where Tennessee won 49-13. Joe Milton, because, you know, Hayden Hooker went to the NFL. Joe Milton is the quarterback now. He had 21 completions for 30 attempts. He had 201 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. And then Jalen Wright, he had 12 carries for 115 yards. He was averaging 9.6 yards a carry. This dude was beast mode, and he almost had a first down every time he touched the ball, man. That's something you want to see from your running back. Takes a lot of the pressure off of your quarterback, who is taking over for what would be considered now a legendary quarterback in Hayden Hooker. Joe Milton, he missed a couple of open receivers, you know what I mean? Like I said, Tennessee was definitely one of those teams who moved slowly in the first quarter and they picked it up as the game progressed. But that's for the most part, it's going to happen in college football. It happened to Ohio State, it happened to Tennessee, it happened to Georgia, it happened for a lot of these teams. So, Ball State took on Kentucky, where Kentucky won 44-14. Ray Davis had 14 carries for 112 yards. He was averaging 8 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns. Dane Key had 5 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Kentucky ran all over Ball State. Ball State is going to be the team that the Georgia Bulldogs see next week. And Kentucky, of course, we will be seeing Kentucky sometime in this season as they are part of the SEC East. And so we have to keep our eyes closely on what happens with this team. This guy, Ray Davis, right here, he pops off on the page for me because he returning from last year. He balled out in this game, 14 carries, 112 yards, 8 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns, man. It's going to be a person that the Georgia Bulldogs definitely going to have to make some big plays for. We're going to have to stop him behind the line of scrimmage, gain tackle, smother him, cover him, and just keep him from going further and further along in games how running backs do. We have West Carolina taking on Arkansas, where Arkansas won 56-13. KJ Jefferson had 18 completions for 23 attempts. He had 246 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Raheem Sanders only averaged 2.8 yards a carry. Raheem Sanders is running back, returning back from Arkansas. He only averaged 2.8 yards a carry. I know that's not something that a lot of Arkansas fans would be happy to see. As a Georgia Bulldogs fan, I have to point this out to a lot of people. 2.8 yards a carry is terrible. It's terrible, especially for a returning running back who's looking to go pro. Raheem Sanders, man, you got to pick that up, man. I know y'all won 56-13, but trust me, y'all start getting into those games with Alabama, Texas A&M, and all those games, you're going to want your running back to have way more than 2.8 yards a carry. Mercer took on Mercer took on 22nd ranked Ole Miss, with Ole Miss 73-7. Woo! Ole Miss, why you doing so bad? You don't have to do them like that. Jackson Dart had 18 completions for 23 attempts. He had 334 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. Trey Harris, this dude, he had 6 receptions, 133 yards receiving, and 4 touchdowns. This dude, Trey Harris, balled out on Mercer. Now, of course, he did this against who? Come again? Who was that again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. That's right, he did that against Mercer. And let's see him do this against the Alabama team or LSU team, even though we're going to talk about that. But yes, Trey Harris, you balled out. Let's continue to see if that happens again. So, Auburn took on Massachusetts. Auburn took on UMass. Well, Auburn won 59-14. Auburn had 4 sacks, an interception. They only allowed 301 yards on total offense from UMass. And Auburn, man, you know, one of the South's oldest rivalries. I don't fear Auburn like I used to, you know, but they are still an SEC team and they're capable of putting up points on anybody, playing very good defense. So Auburn, we will be looking out for you because, of course, those Georgia Bulldogs will have to play the Deep South's oldest rivalry yet again. Now we move on to Southeast Louisiana taking on Mississippi State, where Mississippi State won 48-7. Now this is the identical score that the Georgia Bulldogs put up. Everybody want to be like the Georgia Bulldogs now, man. For some reason, this Mississippi State team, they're also called the Bulldogs, and they put up the identical score that the Georgia Bulldogs put up. Let's see. I don't want to mess this guy's name up, so just bear with me. Jaquavius Marks, he had 19 carries for 127 yards. He was averaging 6.7 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns. Will Rogers had 20 completions, 29 attempts, 227 yards passing, and 2 touchdowns. Will Rogers, this name looks very familiar. I think this guy played for another team last year. He entered the portal, and now he plays for an entirely different team where they're putting up the same identical points as Georgia Bulldogs. So we're going to move on. New Mexico took on Texas A&M, where Texas A&M won 52-10. Connor Weigman had 18 completions for 23 attempts. He had 236 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. Wow, this guy was balling out there. Evan Stewart had 8 receptions for 115 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns, man. This Texas A&M team, they're trying to get back to the old glory days with Johnny Manziel and, move along forward. But they are in a very, very tough SEC West team. They have to run through Arkansas, Auburn, LSU, Alabama, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. It's a very loaded SEC West, and I don't think Texas A&M are going to shape out too good when it comes to those SEC West teams. But who knows? As Nick Saban just said the other day, this is why we play the game, because you want everybody to do good, but of course that's not how it goes. You play the games, you shape them out and see what happens. So with that being said, we're going to move on. We got Alabama A&M taking on Vanderbilt, with Vanderbilt won 47-13. They balled out over there, man. I ain't got too much to say about Vandy, because they already played the game against Hawaii. This is a good time for me to let my sponsors get in a couple words, you know what I mean? So, like I said, it's timestamps below. It's going to be timestamps for the ad break. So, if you don't want to see the ad break, you can skip forward to the next team, because you're going to want to, if you are from a familiar, roll tide place, you're going to want to hear what I have to say about this next thing. So, I'll see you after the ad break. Whoa, what's up? Yeah, right. It's me, man. It's Patrick Seals. We ain't got no sponsors right now, but we working on that, man. We trying to do everything we can to get some sponsors, get some people to invest in this product. Yes, that's right. I do have my merch on sale right now. You can get a red Patrick Seals t-shirt, a black Patrick Seals t-shirt, and a white Patrick Seals t-shirt. You can also get some wristbands, $5 online. You can cash at me. You can do whatever you can to support and help me grow out my YouTube channel, man, because that's what this is all about. So if you know somebody who want to get some sponsors, want their product to be talked about, want somebody to do something fancy on the internet and make people buy their product, come holler at your boy Patrick Seals. Mercer! Yo, we back, baby. Yeah, so after the ad break, it is the SEC Week 1 Runback, and I'm going to continue moving this thing along, because this next team, this guy, I'm not going to lie, man, Alabama, the 4th-ranked Alabama took on MTSU, where Alabama won 56-7. This dude that they got, I can't think of his name right now, but he is scary. That guy is scary. That dude is fast. He got a cannon for an arm. He can run. He can throw. He can shake tackles. He fast. He athletic. That dude is scary, man. He is scary. I do not want to see him come SEC Championship Week or College Football Playoffs weekend, man. That is a scary dude to be throwing up against. He threw 2 touchdowns and he ran a couple touchdowns, man. That guy is scary. Nick Saban, for some reason, is always finding these out of nowhere people who are capable of doing outrageous things, man. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm happy to see they got a dark-skinned quarterback out there throwing and slinging that ball around, because that dude is scary, bro. He is scary. That is a grown man playing football with little kids, and I don't want to see what they have in store for the SEC this year. I really don't. So I'm going to move right on along, because it's my favorite part of the session that we have going on right now. So I'm going to get to some losers right now. That's right. I'm going to get to some losers. So 21 ranked North Carolina took on South Carolina, where North Carolina won 31-17. That's right. We have our second SEC team to lose this week. And let's dive into it. In the Duke's Mayo Bowl, we have Drake May. He had 24 completions for 32 attempts. He had 269 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, man. And North Carolina's defense had 9 sacks. Spencer Rattler was back there getting tossed and scraped around. They had to scrape that dude off the turf yesterday. It was crazy for him, man. His offensive line cannot block anybody. They can't block anybody. And I feel sorry for Spencer Rattler out there, because he's going to have to go up against a lot of teams who are very, very very strong up front. Georgia Bulldogs, to be exact, going to have to play South Carolina in 2 weeks' time. So, yeah. North Carolina, I got my eyes on you, man. The ACC, y'all gonna have to take on Clemson. But for right now, man, y'all enjoy y'all victory against South Carolina. Y'all Carolina rivals in the Duke Mayo Bowl, or whatever you want to call it, because that was a good win for y'all. That was a good win. Y'all got to win against the SEC team. North Carolina, y'all doing all right. But South Carolina, bruh, y'all making us look bad out here, bruh. Y'all making us look real bad. Y'all making our schedule look very weak. You and Florida both making our schedule look very weak. I don't know what y'all got going on. Y'all beat Tennessee last year, but y'all gonna have to step it up this year. Because when we play y'all, we expect to blow y'all out. But we need y'all to beat everybody else to make y'all schedule a little stronger. So I'm gonna move on to our final game of the week. We have the 5th ranked LSU Tigers taking on the 8th ranked Florida State Seminoles, where the Florida State Seminoles won 45-24. Man, this was a dog fight here. They was pretty much even all the way up to the first half to halftime, and then FSU just broke it wide open. We have Jordan Travis. He had 23 completions for 31 attempts, 342 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. This dude, Keon Coleman, though, he had 9 receptions for 122 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns, bro. And he had help over there. I don't know how to say this news. Dang, I'm just going to say Wilson. Jahani, I think his name is Jahani. It don't matter. Jahani Wilson had 7 receptions for 104 yards receiving. LSU, what was y'all defense at? Y'all was very undisciplined today. There was a lot of penalties. Y'all gave up a lot of big plays, a lot of drop passes, a lot of passes hit receivers right in the breadbasket, and they let it bounce right off the turf. You can't have that. You can't be wide open and let the ball bounce right off your hands. You know you playing on ESPN. You know everybody in the world can see you. Now, granted, Spectrum and Disney have a little bit of a beef going on, but everybody else can still see you. They saw you drop those passes. You got to do better, LSU. You got to do better. But y'all lost. Y'all kind of got blew out a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, LSU. Y'all took a beat. Y'all took a butt whooping. You got your butt kicked this weekend. You're gonna have to do better, because y'all in a very, very rough division. You're gonna have to play Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Texas A&M. Y'all got a rough conference, man. So y'all got to get it together. It's a long season. Y'all started the same way y'all ended last year. Y'all started last year. Y'all lost to Florida State. Y'all lost again. So maybe y'all can pull it out and beat Alabama again. I don't know. But y'all haven't beat Florida State since the 90s, man. It's Florida State. Florida State. Y'all made us look bad again. We had 3 teams lose this weekend in the SEC. How? Why? Why y'all losing to these teams? Why? What's going on? I don't get it. Somebody get at me, man. I don't know. I'm Patrick Seals. Y'all like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know how your team did this weekend, because my team did. And did I? They got a lot of room to improve on, but I'm satisfied. We got the W's. A lot of teams out here, LSU, South Carolina, and Florida, who didn't get W's, and I'm glad I'm not one of those fans. I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan. So y'all like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know how your team did, and I'll see y'all next week, man. Peace.